this audio that was making its rounds last night. This is on a show called Next Up with Adam Brenneman. I've not heard of this show before, but he has 35,000 subscribers on YouTube and pretty nice looking little setup there in his podcast studio, so good on him. He had Joe Moorhead on his show recently, talked a lot about his coaching journey, being the OC at Penn State, trying to rebuild Akron, and also his time at Mississippi State. Listen to this.
Hey, Coach, are there any, you won a lot of games there, right? But it didn't end well, at least public perception-wise, and ended up with you leaving. Is there anything you've kind of reflected on from that time as a lesson you've learned or anything you kind of feel like you've grown from that?
Yeah, there's a ton I've reflected from because it's ironic, but accurate that you use the word perception.
Yeah.
Right? Because, I took over a job where the prior head coach had averaged 7 wins a season for 9 years. It left for a lateral job in the same conference.
Yeah.
And then, I prior to signing the contract, asked what constitutes success here, and I was told getting to a bowl game every year, beating Ole Miss, and improving recruiting.
Yeah.
And we went to 2 bowls. We were undefeated against Ole Miss, and I think we had the 2 highest rated recruiting classes in school history, or maybe the closest. Mm-hmm. And then, won 7 games per year, and the coach after me went 19-17, and then 2 coaches combined after me went 24-24. So, sometimes you get caught in the tidal wave of, as you mentioned, a revisionist historian narrative, and there's no one to correct it and you're not thinking of it as a coach. You're like, I'm just going to go to work and do what I do. So I'm obviously upset with the way it ended because, like I said, I had done as good as the guy prior to me and better than the 2 after me, and ended up without a job. But sometimes that's life in college football.
Yeah.
So, thoughts?
It pains me, right? Because I like Joe, and I like him. He's a good guy. He's always good to me. But one thing Joe Moorhead always said at his press conference was, we point the thumb and not the finger. We point at ourselves. We don't point at other people. And that's what's happening here. First off, we talk about revisionist history, Joe. All right, you talk about Mullen only averaged 7 wins a year. Yeah, after his first year where he had 5, then he averaged 8. And he took a program that had gone through a decade of irrelevance and had it at number 1 in the nation and had it poised, left behind a team that was prepared to have another huge season, and had the number 1 defense in the country and hired a head coach whose forte was supposed to be offense, and instead they took a massive step back. I've said this many times. Joe Moorhead reached the floor with that 2018 team. They literally could not have lost another game that they lost. If they had scored 25 points in every game, they would have gone undefeated. That's how good that team was defensively. Even that Alabama team that was running up and down the field and everybody stayed home to 24 points. So the revisionist history is certainly there, but I feel like it's a lot more on Joe Moorhead's side there than anything else. When he talks about the coach after me was 19-17, you got to take that COVID year into account. Leach played 10 SEC games. He didn't play 8 and get to play 4 easy non-conference games. That record's probably a little bit different. Within 2 years of that, Leach had the team winning 9 games and finishing in the top 20. Moorhead, and I'll go give Moorhead one piece of credit. The thing about recruiting is true. He recruited very, very well. The best players on these past couple of teams have been Joe Moorhead guys. So that's a fact. But the program was not trending in the right direction under Joe Moorhead. And it was a decision. Was it a quick decision? Maybe. I mean, the guy had back-to-back bowl seasons. He had beaten Ole Miss back-to-back. I don't necessarily agree with whoever said going to bowl games and beating Ole Miss. You should be constantly trying to get better, trying to pursue a championship. I just feel like, Joe is lacking a little self-awareness there. There's the way to answer that question, hey, it didn't end the way I wanted it to, Could I have done some things differently? Sure. Should Mississippi State have given me another year? I think so. But the way he's framing it, and it goes back, you remember that's what he said after the Egg Bowl. We talked about how there was this mythology around the team he inherited, like the 85 Bears. Well, they weren't the 85 Bears, but that team was definitely good enough to win more than 8 games. They were definitely
the
good
number
enough to
one
win.
defense in the country
3
should never
first-rounders.
lose 4 games and then the bowl game.
They lost to Iowa in a game where they gave up negative 50 yards rushing. I mean, how is that even possible? But Joe Moorhead and his inability to mold his offense around the players he had. He tried to turn Nick Fitzgerald, who is a really good running quarterback, into a RPO passing quarterback. And it didn't work. And it cost Mississippi State a huge season. So I can't get behind what Joe is saying there for sure.
Yeah, if you, like, out of context, without any context, you would think that he's right.
Mm-hmm.
He went to 2 bowl games at State and beat Ole Miss. Firing him after 2 years is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Out of context. In context, you are exactly right.
Yeah. Yeah, if you just look at his record, that's why.
And then comparing himself to Dan Mullen is funny because Dan Mullen would not have lost 5 games with that team.
What Ole Miss fans always about, Mississippi State only cares about beating Ole Miss. They fired a coach who was 2-0. He was 2-0 against Ole Miss, and they fired him. So it's not. He just there's context there that he's leaving out. So when he talks about revisionist history, it's certainly there, but it's not on the end he's thinking it is.
Yeah, definitely pointing the thumb in that.
You guys were talking about the Joe Moorhead stuff, and as expected, the C Spire text line has lit up. Somebody said just another bad John Cohen hire. There were some more descriptive words that went along with it. Paul points to discipline problems and fights. Wait, I thought that fight never happened.
No, it happened.
I remember talking about it on this show when others were saying that it didn't happen, and Haydad was like, "Yeah, it did.
It happened.
It did."
That's one of those where, it's like, man, you better not report that if you're not sure you're right. I was sure.
I mean, the Snapchat photo of the bruised face kind of,
Yeah.
It's like Chris Jones isn't in Oxford. It's like there's a photograph of him in Oxford. Guys, like, there he is. He's there. Doesn't mean he's going to school there, but he's there.
Some of the other stuff. Listening to Joe just then is the reason that he's gone. There was another pretty wild to show up talking about getting players' ring sizes if the expectation is just to make a bowl game.
Hey, you get a ring when you go to the Music City Bowl. No big deal.
You do.
You need those ring sizes.
I don't think that's quite the vision that he was selling.
Well, he also told Nick Fitzgerald to get some mantle space ready for his Heisman Trophy. So,
and that's the thing that, like, when you do that, that's fine. Like, hey, confidence, all good. Probably shouldn't have. Like, just like Texas A&M should not have given Jimbo a plaque that had Texas A&M national champions 20 and then 2 spaces to fill in when he won a national championship. Probably shouldn't do that. But I would rather have a coach believe that he can win a championship than not. But when you say things like that and lose 11 games in 2 years, don't go on a podcast and talk about, well, they only expected me to win 6 games and beat Ole Miss. That's not what you said you expected. So when you came up short of your expectations, own it.
Yeah. I did hear Haydad at the end of the last segment say, Ole Miss fans say the only thing that Mississippi State cares about is beating Ole Miss. It's not just Ole Miss fans. There are a lot of Mississippi State fans that say that's the only thing.
Well, they're fools.
And
I got evidence.
And yes, but there are also times where you've alluded to that game meaning more than anything else as well.
There's a difference between it means more than anything else and that's all that matters.
That's true. That's true. And it's changed, too, over time, hasn't it? I mean, it's possible that there was a window in time where that may have been the only thing that really mattered. But
the 80s,
we're in a different era.
The 80s existed. Yeah. You won the Egg Bowl in, 1985. Great season.
Great season. Yeah. Coach, you went 3-8. Yeah, but we got the one that mattered.
But.
Yeah.
But it's different now. Now, Mississippi State has shown that it can play at a high level, and they expect, I don't think that conversation was had with Jeff Lebby. I'll just put it that way. I don't think that the same conversation was had there.
You don't think so?
No, I think it was, what are the expectations? We want to compete for the college football playoff was probably said out loud.
Yeah. Well, and it should be because that's when you look at the resources that are being invested at Mississippi State and frankly everywhere in the SEC. I don't know that there's a program in the SEC outside of Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt may give lip service to it, and it's not trying to take a shot at Vanderbilt. It's different there. But for the other 15 programs in the SEC, if you hire a football coach in a 12-team college football playoff era, then the expectations better be for you to be, in relatively short order in the mix, in the conversation, playing relevant games in November. That's one of Borky's favorite phrases, right? He's used it a lot when we were talking about basketball.
Meaningful
can
games
Mississippi
in
State,
February.
Can Ole Miss? Can you play meaningful games in February? Well, the new version of that is meaningful games in November. I mean, Houston Nutt, for all of his shortcomings in life, he was onto something when he said they remember November.
Just not his
and
November,
it's not just
but
remembering.
others.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first couple of Novembers were pretty memorable. Just the last two, not so much.
I remember them.
Not so much. I'm sure you do. You have a good memory.
I do.
So yeah, you can